Well, hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Today in Manufacturing podcast. I'm David Manti, and with me today are Jeff Ranke and Anna Wells. We're the editors of Manufacturing.net and Industrial Equipment News, and we each have more than 20 years of experience covering the manufacturing industry. Every week, we cover the three biggest stories in manufacturing and discuss the implications they have on the industry going forward. But before we get started with that, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by giving the podcast a positive review on Apple Podcasts, maybe a thumbs up on YouTube, do whatever you do on Spotify, whatever platform you use. If you want to email us, you can reach us at Jeff, David, or Anna at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. We're also live every Thursday at 2 p.m., so subscribe to us on YouTube at IEN Magazine so you can get a notification, that little bell in the right-hand corner, whenever we go live every Thursday. Jeff, how you doing this week?
Probably not as good as you. You seem really fired up. I'm good, but man, you're like at another level here.
I just want to bring it this week, you know?
It is Broughton.
You got to be fired up too. You got to be. We'll just burn past that one. You got a big game tonight. You're just saving it. You're saving it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Even keel.
I don't think even keel's ever been my role in anything.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I certainly don't bring that to my family. Anna, how you doing this week?
Good. I thought you started with sort of a fireside chat tone, and then, but then it got away from you. But
yeah, no, I was just like, hey, hi, how you been? Good to see you. You know, a little more conversational rather than the podcast is starting now.
Yeah, the yelling.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. That's not even my yelling tone. My God, that's so much louder. I'm sorry for the people that hear it.
Actually, it goes the other way. When David gets mad, his tone goes down. He gets very like Terminator-esque, like dialed in. Okay, I guess this is the way we're going to do it. Okay, let's go. A lot
of eye contact.
Yeah.
A lot of fierce.
A little more intense.
Yeah. You got to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
Well, keeping you on your toes, we have another word from our sponsors at Interpower. 2 weeks in a row. This week's episode is brought to you by Interpower. Why pay more for power cords when you don't have to? Made in the U.S.A., our cords are made from the best raw materials and undergo rigorous testing. Need reliable power cords? Get them with no minimum orders. Why pay cord roulette with imports? We're on a roll. Tariff-free cords by Interpower. There's a link to your tariff-free cords in the body copy. Producer Eric is putting a link to those tariff-free cords in the live chat right now. Yep. Okay. Yep. He just hit enter. It's there. Our first story this week. Regulators raid farm turned skinny jab factory. Last month, 2 sites in the UK were raided as part of an investigation into a bulging criminal underbelly known for making and distributing unlicensed skinny jabs. Skinny jabs refer to weight loss or GLP-1 medicines like Wegovy. I think it's Wegovy. Yeah. Ozempic, Zepbound, and that compounded version that Hims was going to make until the FDA kind of started sniffing around. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, or MHRA, recently targeted farm and residential properties in England. The UK regulator seized about 2,000 doses of unauthorized weight loss medicines and confiscated manufacturing equipment, pharmaceutical ingredients, packaging, and other vehicles. The raids come after reports of people getting sick or seeing no results after purchasing these knockoff meds. The raid comes about 4 months after the MHRA stormed a warehouse and came away with the largest single seizure of trafficked weight loss medicines by a law enforcement agency anywhere, ever. These illicit drugs contain untested ingredients and incorrect dosing and contamination, all of which could be pretty serious, potentially fatal for some. Anna, given the costs, demand, and shortages of these drugs, should we be surprised that we're seemingly playing whack-a-mole with all these knockoffs?
No, I don't think so. First you forgot Mounjaro.
Mounjaro?
Oh, and I feel like if I were going to use one of these, the coolest sounding name is Mounjaro.
It's Mounjaro. You know what? I'm not even familiar with Mounjaro.
Yeah, it's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The commercials.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, first of all, I think the suggestion here is that, like, it was hard to tell with the story. Obviously, this took place in the UK. So when I first read it, I was like, are people buying these on the street?
Yeah.
Because that is insane.
Yeah. Some guy with a jacket full of needles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I looked back a little bit on some of the situations that have been taking place in the U.S. as well. And there was an FDA bulletin that was issued back in December illustrating a situation where the agency seized dozens of units of counterfeit Ozempic. And it was an injection. And they said that it was, their words were, distributed illegally outside of Novo Nordisk's authorized supply chain, but that the seized counterfeit products were in the legitimate U.S. drug supply chain.
Okay, so these were like compounding drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so in that bulletin, they went on to say that they were really urging pharmacies to only purchase authentic Ozempic through authorized distributors of Novo Nordisk. You think that would be a pretty basic effort on the behalf of a pharmacy, but it sounds like they were really needing to tell these folks that they needed to review the legitimacy of what they were getting.
Yeah.
And not just the pharmacies, but they're also telling the customers, the users, hey, this is what the fake ones look like. This is what the real ones look like. Somehow this batch infiltrated the supply chain, whether that's one rogue actor within the system, you don't know.
Yeah.
But like, that's terrifying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is an injection.
Yeah. No, it was, I mean, think of the fear with the knockoff eye drops, you know, and those going into your eyes, like, and you just think that if something is administered to your eyes, there's an inherent like risk, that they're inherently safe. And even more so if it's an injection that you're receiving through your pharmacist. I think that there is an inherent understanding or trust that you are safe to use that you shouldn't, as a consumer, need to like check out an FDA bulletin. You
shouldn't. And but I think the ultimate point here, and as you mentioned, because this is such a high demand product, because it is very expensive, I think it's just a product that is more prone to counterfeiting and knockoff. We don't see that just with drugs. We see that in other areas, things that are really expensive and kind of easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
People will do that more often. So it is something to consider, I guess, as you look into this. The funny thing about this bulletin is they said that some people had reported adverse side effects, and then they traced all the adverse side effects back to actual Ozempic.
What?
No. And not any of
not the knockoff?
The knockoff. But the knockoff, I mean, is probably saline or something.
Yeah,
it's probably just has no effective, drug in it. So anyway, keep that in mind, that maybe because this is just such a hot market right now, just to be a little bit extra cautious when you're dealing with this product, if it's something that you use.
Right. But I mean, like, when it comes to a product that has been demanded by the largest amount of people in the world, I mean, it's like, it's the weight loss drug where you don't have to do anything except take it every once in a while, right? Like, that's been the dream for like one day there'll be, I mean, other than maybe cancer, right? Or solving death. Like,
sorry, we're talking about what the dream is?
Well, no, I mean, like, I mean, in terms of like the holy grail of a product, right? Just like the, hey, take a pill, be skinny.
It was a big breakthrough, most certainly. And of course, I think that just adds to the point that it's just, this is ripe for corruption, unfortunately. And it sounds like, the FDA is trying to keep tabs on this, but like as you mentioned, there's like all these different brands that are doing it. It's best, I think, if you keep an eye on it on your own as well as a consumer.
It's crazy that you have to have that sort of due diligence, but I don't know, Jeff, maybe for consumers and for people that aren't as close to the pharmaceutical industry, maybe it is shocking, but given your experience covering pharmaceutical processing, you have a little bit more experience. Is it surprising to you that there is this scale of knockoffs out there and how they've sort of infiltrated the legitimate market?
Well, I think the infiltration of the legitimate market is shocking. Yeah. I mean, that's not something we've seen before, but you're also looking at a drug category that's seen 1,000% increase in sales over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So That is crazy. But it just like when we talked about the eye drops, there has to be an element of accountability that goes throughout the industry. So in other words, if you're a retailer, if you're an honest to goodness seller of this product, you need to do your homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing if you are a seller of the APIs, the active pharmaceutical ingredients. You have to do your homework. Now, there's FDA regulations where you have to have certain licenses and certain credentials in order to buy these APIs. But as we've seen in a number of instances, I think we did the tequila, and there was another, I think it was a consumer electronics product. With everything that's going on with AI and different cybersecurity hacks and stuff, it is real easy to fake these credentials, to get into purchasing systems and be identified as the proper buyer, even though you're not.
Yeah.
It just takes more and more homework by all involved to make sure you're dealing with credible sources if you're going to sell it, if you're going to buy it. The other thing that kind of stuck out to me, and I understand the term manufacturing equipment can take a lot of different faces. You can jimmy rig a cake mixer or something at home to produce this stuff. However, with the scale that they're putting it out, it felt like when they talked about seizing manufacturing equipment, they're probably looking at some higher end stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay, even if it's just refrigeration equipment to keep this stuff from spoiling, they were dealing with some higher end stuff. And I think that's another portion of this industry that can do a little bit more diligence in terms of who they're selling to. Right now, there is no FDA regulation in terms of somebody who makes pharmaceutical processing equipment, who they can sell it to.
Right.
They're urged and encouraged to do due diligence and make sure they're selling to a credible individual or company, but they don't have to. There's nothing that needs to be done there. If I can come to you and say, hey, David, I'm making good drugs. I got all these documents that make it look like I'm legit. You can sell me that and you're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But again, there needs to be some of this increased accountability at all these different levels, because if the retailers, the distributors, the manufacturers of the equipment don't take these steps, government will. At some point, there's going to be more involvement and more bureaucratic red tape to make all of these transactions take place as a safeguard.
Yeah.
Therefore, we need to start policing ourselves a little bit better and be more diligent there before we have to rely on government, because I think I've been pretty consistent in my belief, less government, the better.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're delivering maybe to a new customer and you're unfamiliar with the area, I'm not saying that you got to you Google map everyone, but just like, hey, we're dropping it off at a farm. Just like it's a super clean farm. We're working on our ISO certification. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be clean room situation. Don't worry about it. Clean farm. But I mean, going back to the eye drop thing, where did those lawsuits stop short of targeting anybody involved in the entire process? They went after the retailers. They went after everyone in the supply chain that had a hand in it, and that could include the manufacturers of of this equipment. And I mean, I understand that, with less regulation, you got to police yourselves a little bit more. But I mean, it's just basic risk assessment, right?
Well, and it is more difficult because of the surge in contract manufacturing that's taken place within, especially the pharmaceutical processing area, in that sector. And we've talked about this before. Just the model from a cost perspective, it just makes more sense in a lot of cases to outsource the actual production of the drugs.
Yeah.
So you've got more steps, more layers in terms of who's buying what, where things are located to kind of try to keep track of. Yeah. It also means there's a much more diverse customer base in terms of buyers and sellers out there of all of these products. So it is more complicated, it is more convoluted, and there is more opportunities for the bad guys to do bad stuff. Again, we just need to do more of our own policing, I believe.
Well, and there are more bad people doing more bad stuff. I was kind of looking at where do pharmaceuticals stand, and the top 10 of knockoffs. Globally, pharmaceutical knockoffs are increasingly prevalent, particularly because of these illicit online pharmacies. And I get it. Like sometimes you look at an online pharmacy, looks completely legit. It's not. Sometimes it looks not legit, and it is. It's very hard to tell, but a lot of people will go anywhere looking for a lower cost alternative for very expensive medicine that isn't covered or is poorly covered by their health insurance. I mean, so pharmaceuticals are still fifth behind apparel, electronics, jewelry, and cosmetics. In the United States, pharmaceuticals were the sixth highest in value from seizures by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. But what I found interesting was that by volume, Pharmaceuticals are the second most seized by Border Protection, second to only handbags and wallets, which really shows like what kind of a grasp the counterfeit handbags and wallet market still have on the industry. But that's a lot of product coming into the U.S. or trying to come into the U.S. And they can't be catching all of it. And I was surprised to see that it wasn't number one in volume, but I could see that happening. This in particular, the GLP-1 market, that is something that everybody wants. As to whether or not everybody needs it, that's for a different debate. And I don't know. I don't know what you guys feel, but I feel like that we're only going to see more of this unless there is kind of a tighter regulations around it.
Yeah, just got to keep talking about it and get the word out.
Yeah. All right. Check those labels before you put it in your body. All right, our next most popular story, PepsiCo to shutter Southern California facility and cut nearly 250 jobs. About 8 months ago, PepsiCo turned the famous Frito-Lay plant in Rancho, Cucamonga, California into a distribution hub. Now, they're closing the campus entirely and laying off hundreds of workers. Frito-Lay stopped snack production last summer. Costs were up, demand was down, but they still needed a hub to hold them. Well, earlier this month, the company told California officials that it's going to close the warehouse in June and lay off 247 people. Operations are moving to, quote, a new distribution center in the local community. Frito-Lay actually has distribution facilities closer to Los Angeles in Torres and La Mirada, California. PepsiCo last year also closed facilities in Central Florida, upstate New York, all as it battles to cut prices and reduce product offerings to keep an activist investor at bay. So, Anna, what's next for the Rancho Cucamonga plants? Can we at least get some sort of historical landmark for the Flaming Hot Cheeto?
Yeah, maybe a statue of some type and a designation. That would be nice, a museum.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Cheeto Museum?
Yeah.
I am in.
I would attend. For the right price.
Yeah, maybe like some sort of world's largest Cheeto monument.
You're not going to center the family vacation around the Cheeto Museum?
I don't know, man. I am very pro museum, but some of these places, like, have you ever been to an aquarium? Do you know how much aquariums cost to go to?
Yeah.
Like $40. Per person.
Ridiculous. We were just talking about the giant dead squid we saw at the aquarium, and the first thing I thought of was, my God, it costs so much to go there. But hey, you know what?
Squid is dead.
And if you have a membership, though, there are discounts throughout the U.S.
I keep going back.
Yeah.
So, all right. Actually, what I wanted to dive into a little bit on this situation, which I found to be the most interesting, is that PepsiCo's activist investor. I think so. The story about this broke kind of in mid-December, and I don't know if it was like the holiday rush or whatever. I don't think it got a ton of attention, but at the time, PepsiCo agreed to cut nearly 20% of its product offerings by early 2026. So we're kind of in the throes of that right now. I have yet to find a list of those products. That's not really been revealed at this point. But in its February earnings statement, PepsiCo announced that it would be cutting prices on popular snacks like chips. To boost repeat purchases and improve competitiveness. More than likely, that comparison to store brands is really hitting them hard at this point, as people are a little bit more price sensitive right now. But the role of this activist investor, I thought, was interesting, and I think this really speaks to how that has changed a bit. The company is called Elliott Investment Management. They took a $4 billion stake in PepsiCo in September of last year, and left really no time before they put a heavy thumb on PepsiCo. And I just wanted to mention, too, that this same company was also heavily involved in, I am sure you guys heard about Genuine Parts Company splitting off from Motion, the big industrial distributor.
Oh, yeah.
That was also Elliott who pressured that decision.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They thought that they could be more profitable separated. Mm-hmm. And now they are. So there's a lot. Just speaks to like the level of influence some of these investors can have. But what's interesting to me is that not only did PepsiCo agree to cut products, but it also said it would cut prices and cut costs as part of that deal. It didn't overtly say cut jobs, but I think it's easy to read between the lines here that, with this plant closure and some of the others, that's going to be part of this. And I think what's a little alarming is that PepsiCo, as you mentioned, some of those plant closures, many of those took place before this deal with the investors, before this agreement. They also discontinued 21 beverages in their line in August, kind of abruptly. They own a lot of brands, of course, but I think the industry by and large was like, oh, surprised a little bit. And so to me, that says PepsiCo has been tackling some of the low-hanging fruit before this agreement, which might make you worry about how close to the bone some of these promised cuts are going to get, and if we are going to see more job losses and the scale of those.
How far back do you think the term activist investor goes? I thought it was fairly recent. I thought it was like a new thing, but apparently it goes back to the 20s. It was actually Benjamin Graham. He was like the mentor to Warren Buffett, and he's known as the first activist investor. But for me, it seems like such a misnomer, right? Like you think activist investor, you think, oh, investor like greater good, but it's an investor that goes like, no, start shedding and cutting so we can maximize profits.
They have a lot of leverage depending on the size of their stake, and then they use that.
Yeah.
No, but it is. There are situations where it is what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but it was just, I didn't realize the first time I had heard it, I thought it was more specifically that, not all encompassing of just like, no, it just means I'm an active investor, or
a bully.
Bully investor. I can see why that didn't take off.
Yeah.
So Corey says that they're leaving California for a simple reason. They're being taxed 3 times the amount that they could be when doing business in Nevada, Florida, Arizona, Texas. He says it's happening all over California, and he doesn't blame them. Jeff, do you think there's any credibility to what Corey says? That's got to play a role, especially when they're trying to cut costs. They're being forced to cut costs, and some places are more expensive than others.
Sure. I think part of the bigger picture, I don't think it's this specific situation because they did also close a plant in Florida.
They closed too, a couple months ago.
So in California, we could do another segment of the show just on the stuff that's going on in California and how it is getting tougher for some manufacturers out there, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But without diving into that too deeply, what was interesting, I actually looked at, they mentioned some of those current facilities in like Florence and La Merida. Mm-hmm. Actually, Rancho Cucamonga is a more cost-effective place to operate in terms of wages and everything else. So there wasn't a cost benefit in closing this facility down. If they wanted to go that route, they actually would have moved stuff here.
Move stuff there,
so that wasn't a role, I think, in this particular situation. But I think when you look, and we've talked about this category a lot in terms of all the different pressures there are, in terms of all the different competition, the shrinkflation, the higher cost of labor. Mm-hmm. But I think the one thing that is worth paying more attention to is the ingredient costs that you're dealing with. When you look at potatoes, corn, oil, wheat, all of those things that go into snack products, all of those prices are up significantly due to a number of different reasons. It can be weather related. It can be a lot of things that are going on internationally, tariffs, a lot of different stuff. Okay, pricing or costs in terms of logistics and energy and all that stuff is also going up for food processors. And in here, we're seeing a situation where I think Pepsi wanted to keep this legacy facility open.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
Yeah.
All of those market realities sort of hit home and just made them make was probably, I would think, a somewhat difficult decision on a regional level. Maybe not nationally, but locally, absolutely. I think what's going to be interesting when you look at this category and really food processors overall is how these ingredient costs are going to continue to affect things. I think we're going to see others in this category also experience similar types of closures and job cuts because what do? We're definitely not going to impact social changes in terms of what people are consuming. They're buying fewer snack foods. They're trying to be a little bit healthier. They're looking for different alternatives. I don't see competition changing anytime soon. There's always going to be those store or generic brands that are a little bit more price sensitive and give you a better value. That's playing a huge part as well. So when are those other factors going to come in line to help some of the bigger brands in these segments offset some of those other costs? They need some of these raw material or ingredient prices to come down a little bit and some of the volatility in the market to shift to kind of clear out So they have better visibility into what's going on as well. I think until those things do happen, we're going to see more of this.
Yeah, I can't get enough of my Crave nacho flavored tortilla chips and pretzels.
The Quick Trip brand is what I've heard.
Oh yeah,
I heard that is the way to go.
Urge and Crave. Jeff, you bring up shrinkflation, and I think that I understand that was like a cultural flashpoint, but I don't think we talk enough about that as to how that turned off consumers. Like, I mean, there are still brands that are dead to me because I still have disdain even when I see they've reversed course with a lot of their packaging. And I'm just like, I know what you did. You cut it in half and you're only back to 75%. And I think that went a long way in really damaging consumer sentiment. I don't know, Anna, is it the same for you? Like, I think that people saw shrinkflation for what it was way before it became sort of a political talking point, and they started making choices as a result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can't be the only one who's looking at party size and being like, it's a pretty small party.
Yeah. This party of one M&Ms. Thank you.
What I've gone is I'll buy like the party size or the larger size because the more like the regular size is ridiculously small.
Yeah.
And when you look at the margins on that, that's a bag that goes for, let's call it $3.50. I'll buy the $5.99 bag because you do get more.
Yeah.
Now that's, if you bought 2 of those, that'd be $7 versus $6. That doesn't sound like a lot, but for food, that is a ton.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're losing on some of those margin wars as well.
Well, and when you talk about ingredients, I think that they were also slow to adapt and retool for some of those social changes. I think that maybe they should have accelerated new products with simpler, more functional ingredients. I mean, food manufacturing, we ran a couple of stories today about how some companies are finally starting to get it and realize that they've got to get rid of synthetic colors. They've got to get rid of bad ingredients. And they make it seem like they're being forced to do it. But really, that is something that the market has been demanding and calling for like a decade or longer, right? And I recently had the Simply Doritos, and they're arguably better, And it's just like, what's different about them? It's just like, they don't have banned substances in them or whatever, They just have simpler ingredients. And I thought they were better.
Do they still have the dust on them?
Yeah,
or
of
is it
course.
just no color?
No. It's just, no color. It's just like a colorless but still flavored dust. And I found it delicious.
I would try that.
Yeah, it was actually the kids received them for Valentine's Day, like a nice Valentine's Day Cheeto bag. I'm like, that's a friend right there. And then they tried it and they're like, I don't like it because it's not toxic orange. And I'm like, oh well, I'll give it a go.
Yeah,
delicious. What does Doug say? Good. Always good to see you, Doug. Don't understand shrinkflation. Just look at Girl Scout cookies. Hey, we would never say anything negative about Girl Scout cookies or
we wouldn't.
The many troop leaders and brave souls out there selling them right now. We would never say a bad thing.
Don't tell me to look at Girl Scout cookies. I look at them all day, Doug.
I would say don't just look, but experience the Explore Mores because
absolutely,
it's a lot going on. It's so fantastic.
So good, yeah. Yes. And if you need to restock mid-season,
you
just need to find like a local troop to help you with that.
Yeah, I'll find that local troop in about 7 more days because I always just keep it simple, right? Just buy 2 of each, and then I eat all the ones I want, and I'm just looking at those lemon cookies going, oh, but if I had more Explore Mores, or the peanut butter sandwiches.
You don't like those?
No, I do. Oh. They are, I always thought that the peanut butter patty was my favorite. And then I was looking at the cabinet and I'm like, no, it's the peanut butter sandwich. It's clearly your favorite.
I love it too. Chris says it's an old people cookie. I don't know, my husband, but
I like it because it's a very ceremonial, remove half of it, eat the filling. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I leave it as a whole cookie, It gives you more options.
Wow. Look at you.
I bought a few I had. I was able to experience them in many ways. But Doug, we hear you in all other things, never to besmirch the Girl Scout cookie. All right. Our most popular story this week. Stellantis workers and union fume over $0 bonuses. This year, Ford employees took home about $7,000 in profit sharing. GM's union workers were just awarded $10,500. Then there's Stellantis. If you remember, Stellantis is having a tough go, including a $26.3 billion net loss in 2025. So the company fell below the minimum profit sharing threshold spelled out in its 2023 contract with the UAW. Since there were no profits, there is no profit sharing. This is the first year in the automaker's history that it has failed to award profit sharing checks. Really, it makes sense. No profits, no sharing. But we more often than not find ourselves trying to make sense to the unsensible, of the unsensible. So, cue the predictable fury. That's a quote. I didn't come up with that one. I wish I did. UAW President Shawn Fain called it, quote, a damn shame, and noted that the union had previously, quote, sounded the alarm on disgraced CEO Carlos Tavares. He said the UAW, quote, has been pushing the company to stop throwing money away to Wall Street instead of investing in its plants, products, and people. Even Stellantis seemed to blame Tavares, saying the company's performance reflected, quote, the cost of a profound and necessary business reset to correct past decisions. Anna, the company remains optimistic that it can get back in the green. Do you think they can? And man, blowing some holes in Tavares' golden parachute. My goodness. Taking strays.
Yeah, they're really, everyone involved in this situation is really putting it on Carlos.
It is. I mean, I guess here's your golden parachute. We will use you as a scapegoat for the next 5 to 10 years.
I think so. I mean, it's the easiest thing you can do in this situation for everyone, I guess. And I just want to point out, though, that when he took on the role of CEO in 2021, he was really considered to be like a visionary in automotive. Like he was like the guy.
Yeah.
He was paid an immense salary based on that.
Yeah.
Which ended up being like one of the controversies that was involved in his tenure, I think, was this massive pay package. That was one of them. But mainly, the company's Detroit-based brands had experienced significant sales declines at the end of his tenure with Stellantis. They were considered too expensive. Inventory started to pile up. Top Gear said that amidst this, Tavares told them that he'd given the Detroit management team too much power and they'd lost control of the situation. And once he took the wheel again, basically it was too late. He couldn't fix the problem, or they said repair the relationships with the dealers who thought that the vehicles were too expensive and they were having trouble moving them. And they'd also moved out some gas-powered cars and not replaced them with like vehicles that people wanted to buy.
Yeah.
So at that time, Stellantis issued a profit warning. The stock price fell, and then Tavares was out, reportedly because of strategic differences between him and the board. So Tavares did have some like really strong points. Like he was really good at cutting costs. He was really good at spotting, ways to save money. He was like very financially disciplined, was the story. I also think that the Stellantis merger was never quite as smooth and clean as they wanted it to be portrayed.
Yeah.
And so there were some problems, I think, going back to when that happened. There was some dogs in that. So anyway, I think that it's a little bit, I don't know, unfair to completely blame Carlos Tavares because, okay, so now we're under new management.
Yeah.
Stellantis has put a lot on the chopping block. They said that they're looking at everything, that they will stoically cut brands, even if it's longstanding stuff that they have, like Maserati. They said, if it's not selling, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
They've committed to pivoting back to that Hemi that they said is kind of targeting their core customer, that they want these like muscle cars that was associated with the Dodge brand. And they've moved away from plug-in hybrids, as we reported recently on the podcast as well. So those are some significant decisions that they've made to kind of shift gears here. We will see if that pans out. I mean, I think maybe end of next year we'll know if this shift has taken place. And their new strategy, which is basically volume over profit. Tavares was more of a profit guy, and this is more of a volume play. I still think that they maybe don't have quite the right vehicle mix for that volume play in North America, but we will see. They have a lot of markets, so there's that as well.
Yeah.
I do want to add before I conclude here that I read that after resigning from Stellantis, Tavares is reportedly living on a farm in Portugal, making port wine in a vineyard he also owns in the valley alongside several hotels. So I think he's
all right.
He's okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe his feelings got hurt by the, all the blame, but I think he's okay.
I think that's just accepted. And I mean, he's got to have a couple of ins on the comms team. Just like we'll fire out a text to his vineyard, depending on his signal. Just like, more strays coming. Just like, had another rough quarter. Gonna be you again, bud. I was kind of surprised with that Stellantis talking points remain like Hemi V8, good. Carlos Tavares, bad. Just like with any question. And when you talk about...
why does that surprise you? Why does that surprise you?
Well, because it was so singular. But I mean, I get it. Stay on message. Well, because that is such a diverse portfolio. They have Alfa Romeo, and that's been up 20%. That's a win. But then, you sort of put like your thinking hat on. You're like, oh wait, are they promoting that because they're gonna sell it? They're gonna try to sell it.
But I mean, that's great. Any increase is better. But how many cars does Alfa Romeo?
I know,
sell?
that's what I was thinking. What's a 20% increase?
What does that mean? Like 1,000 cars?
Hey, whoa,
15.
Whoa. Like I said, it's got to be more singular. 20% increase. That's it. No need to think about it. Yeah.
You're the math guy. I shouldn't question you on this.
This isn't math. This is marketing, Jeff. This is all of us here. Like,
you're a marketing guy too.
No. This is marketing for all of us.
Oh, okay.
For all of us.
Okay.
When you look at it, so I was trying to, when you have alerts set for Stellantis, you kind of get used to like, gonna be more bad stuff today. But they recently hired 2,000 new engineers because there's going to be this renewed emphasis on quality also. And I found that to be very encouraging, right? It also made me think about the cyclical nature of this, right? Like, built on good engineering, solid product, bring it to market. See how cheap and easy and you can mass produce it. Remove engineering from the equation because engineering's expensive. And then things go downhill again and it's like, you know what? Got to get back to basics. Engineering. And it just seems to happen over and over in every industry always.
Well, I guess I didn't get the impression that it was about trying to get it out like a cheaper vehicle. I mean, his whole thing was premiumization of their product line, which doesn't really match up with a Dodge, Jeep, Ram buyer. Like that was just a mismatch. I go back to what Anna said. I agree with her. I think this consolidation of these brands was tough. Selling a Fiat is not the same as selling a Ram truck.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that Tavares was very good in the European market. I think he struggled a great deal with understanding the dealership dynamic here in the U.S. And that's where I think a lot of this blame is fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I do think he deserved a lot of blame. When you look at his points were, we're not going to sell as many cars, but we're going to make them more profitable. When you're in the European model and you've got a diverse dealership where you're looking at selling more smaller vehicles, okay, that have a higher profit margin, you can get away with that. That doesn't work here in the U.S. where buyers are used to going to a lot and seeing a bunch of trucks.
Yeah.
And they want to see every color and they want to, it's just a very different dynamic in terms of the purchasing cycle. And I don't think he fully adjusted to that. I don't think he appreciated the truck buyer versus the sedan buyer in Europe. It's a lot of the just very different dynamics there in terms of how that affects the pricing model. We don't want a premium vehicle. We want that dirty, blue collar type of approach to things. And I don't think that ever translated. Yeah. The other thing here with this story is when you've got your two big competitors, okay, and we don't know what Toyota did, but when you've got GM and you've got Ford both giving out these bonuses and you come up with nothing, man, we've been at companies that have had rough years and maybe the bonus wasn't the same as it was in the past years, but like we had a potluck lunch or something.
Maybe they did.
Throw something out there to at least cover yourself. Hey, we didn't give them bonuses, but we did give them extra percentage discount if they wanted to buy a new vehicle. I don't know, something that you could have a legit talking point, because this could not have been a surprise that this was what everybody was focused on. And it is easy to throw Tavares under the bus. Yeah. That's just going to happen. I think everybody knows that when you're in that position and you do take the buyout or you resign a little bit early. So they are using that. But I also feel like for Stellantis to truly be successful, they need to understand how different these two markets and these two products are. When
Yeah.
you look at the stuff they're doing in Europe versus the stuff they're doing here in the U.S., embrace that and treat it differently and go forward that way. Don't try to take a one-size-fits-all approach to these very different types of products.
Well, and I mean, also, we're not making those up out of nowhere. We have been at companies that, during a down year, the Christmas party and bonuses were replaced with an elegant potluck or a
gas card.
or
that's fine.
A pie raffle.
But I don't.
But if you
Are people going to be pleased with that? I don't. I mean, they could have done that. Like, let's have a pizza day, but everyone's going to be just as mad.
Yeah,
like, I don't.
True. Like, okay, so I have one pizza and I'm still out $10,500 from whatever GM's giving their.
I'm just saying, have a talking point.
No, there have a
other
talking
than
point.
It was so bad and this guy screwed up, so we can do anything.
Well, and
I mean, how do you recruit those 2,000 engineers when that's your talking point?
Well, it's a big is communication, right? That comes up on this podcast all the time. And maybe they were better about it internally. Maybe they let people know, just like, hey, not sure if you guys read the papers, but that $26.3 billion loss, that's real. And there's not a lot there right now. But we're doing all these things, steps forward, maybe next year. Who knows? I don't know, but I get it. Like in a competitive job market, and you're looking all in the same operators all in the same area, you see those differences and you think maybe a move would be better for you. So this story really took off, and I give you a lot of credit for it. You were way ahead of everybody else on this story. But as a result, we received a lot of comments on this, a lot of feedback. One of them was a guy or person named, I don't even know what that is, Knives Come Off 8743, we'll say that. Knive says, work history and quality of Stellantis has proven that anything designed and built by them is going to be garbage.
Ooh.
I guess maybe they have had a bad experience. Although Truth Seeking 8 says high-tech slop, EV slop, digital touchscreen slop. What's not to love? You know what? I got a feeling that I can guess the age range of one Truth Seeking 8. But you know what? Let's see if there's anything else that we could actually respond to. Tobias says maybe Jeeps shouldn't cost $70,000 and maybe the cars should last longer than 4 years. Stellantis is the new Nissan. Now, I think there's something to be said about that because how many times have we talked on the podcast about Jeep having this like real fierce loyalty to it, but they've lost that with problems with quality. And I mean, when you have quality issues, I mean, you lose that person for life potentially. Alex says, pretty sure we're getting primed for another round of bailouts. I don't know. Do you think that's possible, Hannah? I don't think that Stellantis would be bailed out more. I think maybe just drift away.
Drift away.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we'd be talking about a bailout if it was all three, but when it's just 30% of it, I think that's just a market selection.
Yeah.
Do you think that Stellantis would ever completely, diversify all of the brands under their
I mean, they would have to like spin off Jeep or something in the U.S. Yeah.
I could definitely see somebody maybe stepping up to try to divest and get those Detroit brands back.
Okay. And Jerry says, well, it's time to sell this company to BYD and get rid of all the terrible built vehicles. You have any positive ones?
Everyone is Stellantis haters out there.
A lot of Stellantis shade. I mean, but you know what? Like people don't just, well, you know what? I'm happy with it. Overall, things have been great. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. No one ever says that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the fantastic additions in the comments section. Always look forward to reading those. All right. On to, in case you missed it, the stories that weren't as popular but still stand to make a big impact on the industry going forward. But first, we have a word from our sponsor, Interpower. This week's episode is brought to you by Interpower. Why pay more for power cords when you don't have to? Made in the U.S.A., our cords are made from the best raw materials and undergo rigorous testing. Need reliable power cords? Get them with no minimum orders. Why pay cord roulette with imports? We're on a roll. Tariff-free cords by Interpower. Check out your tariff-free cords. There's a link in the body copy and a link in the live chat. Maybe while you're mixing it up about how terrible your individual experiences are about Stellantis,
Yeah, then don't also play cord roulette.
Don't play cord roulette. Yeah, you already
Always-
took a chance on your vehicle.
Exactly.
Don't take a chance on your cords. All right.
Wow.
In case you missed it, stories, again, not as popular on our sites, but could make a big impact on the industry going forward. Anna, what do you have for us this week?
The story I selected is titled Stanley Black & Decker is closing last factory in Founding City. And I grabbed this story because it points to not just the death of a factory, but the death of the tape measure,
Yeah.
in case you missed it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was unaware of this too. And I was unaware of like the crazy adoption of digital solutions.
So Stanley Black & Decker says it's closing its last manufacturing facility in New Britain, Connecticut, which is long known as Hardware City and the home of the company's headquarters. Reportedly, the action will impact nearly 300 workers at the factory, which primarily produces single-sided tape measures. Company spokesperson Deborah Raymond told Connecticut Public Radio that the facility's products are becoming obsolete as more people rely on electronic devices to measure distance. The Hartford Courant reported that New Britain Mayor Bobby Sanchez blamed the decision on ongoing uncertainty at the federal level, including shifting trade policies and tariffs that have driven up material and production costs. According to the Current, the latest closure announcement comes after Stanley Black & Decker shut down plants in Texas and South Carolina in 2023 and in North Carolina in 2024. The company also plans to close a Mississippi facility this spring, which it expects to eliminate 600 jobs. So, I don't know. When I read this, I thought, like, is the tape measure thing an excuse? Because I'll be honest with you, I have that thing on my phone. Never have I used it. I use a tape measure every time I want to measure anything. And I'm a consumer.
Yeah.
Last I checked. Like,
You sure are.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
one of the best consumers there is. You know, you look at their earnings, like year-end 2025 organic sales were down 1%, but gross margin was up 90 basis points versus prior year. They're trying to get their ship it back in order in terms of profitability. I get that. But I was very surprised to see that be the excuse. And then when you look at that in the contrast to the mayor's comments, which were a little bit more like maybe political, you kind of wonder if Stanley Black & Decker was just trying to take the easy road there and not get themselves embroiled in any sort of controversy, because I do find it hard to believe that people have completely stopped using the tape measure.
Well, so when you think about the people that you're going to see the most wear and tear and replacing the tape measure, you think of carpenters, you think of professionals. In the last couple of times we've had people at the house to bid a job, they're using their phones, or they're using those, they're taking all the measurements from the center of the room. And I really didn't think about that until we started talking about the story. I mean, and as consumers, yes, we have tape measures, but we have like the one that we're going to use
For life.
forever, whereas, professionals have switched to digital solutions. And, maybe that's something that they would replace almost yearly, and maybe they're not going to anymore. I don't know.
I guess, but I also the materials that they've used have gotten better and better over the years too. So those they're pretty robust now. I don't know, even like 15, 20 years ago, are carpenters replacing a tape measure every year?
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
In like my short stint in roofing and construction, yes.
Oh, you had a job doing that too.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, everyone knows
Wow.
about that. I've talked about that before.
That's
And I
weird.
will say, like, when you drop a tape measure off of a roof, you need a new one. It never happened to me. It was always this other guy, Michael, just dropping them all the time. I never would do that. Never.
Sounds like a real Dave move,
Yeah,
not a David move.
never. So Matthew says, what carpenter doesn't use a tape measure? This is just crazy talk.
Thank you.
See, Matthew's there for you. And I don't know if you had a chance to check out some of the comments on the website.
I actually didn't know.
So a frequent commenter, Knuckle Dragger, sometimes you choose that screen name carefully and, well, maybe.
And you live with it.
Yeah. He says, or she says, female Knuckle Dragger, I'm curious what a, quote, single-sided tape measure is. Is there a double-sided option? And then frequent commenter, Jonathan Williams goes, sure enough. I had no idea this existed either. And then posted a link to buy the Klein Tools version of them.
Oh.
I was, I thought it was interesting because normally the comment section can be people fired up about whatever controversial topic. And this one just comes down to like, you don't say. Oh, as a matter of fact, Jeff, there are single and double-sided tape measures.
There sure are.
Are you a digital tape measure person or you still legacy tape?
Got the regular tape measure. I mean, I've seen everybody who's done work at our house does both.
Yeah.
They have the initial app, whatever they're using to get the specs, but then they still have it when they're doing their cutting with the tape measure. So I think it's just an odd product to tie the entire facility to.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you're counting on, that seems a little strange, especially because it's a low-cost item and there's so much competition for it. Go to Menards or wherever you go to buy your tools, and there's a lot of different options. I'm going to guess Stanley Black & Deckers is a little bit more highly priced. Not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying it probably costs a little bit more. And if you've got a lot of options, you're probably going to go with the less expensive one. So, yeah, it just seems odd that would be the product that they were really hitching the wagon to.
Well, and with any of these stories, when it is their legacy location, right? You know, when it's a historic plant, it's always, I think, going to be more popular. I was actually very, very surprised this didn't make the top 3, just because of the legacy in New Britain. But I mean, I don't know. It was maybe a sign of the times, I guess, that I was not aware of.
Yep.
All right. My, in case you missed it this week, I chose a story that just came out about how a judge ruled that companies are entitled to refunds for tariffs that were overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, this one could get a little messy. On Wednesday, a federal judge ruled that companies that paid tariffs struck down by the Supreme Court last month are due refunds. It was Judge Richard Eaton of the U.S. Court of International Trade, and he said, quote, all importers of record were entitled to benefit from the sweeping court ruling, or for the sweeping Supreme Court ruling that struck down these double-digit import taxes. These were all taxes that were imposed by President Trump using the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And this is all according to the AP. The Supreme Court said that the tariffs were unconstitutional and said that the president could not unilaterally set and change tariffs because taxation power belongs to Congress. Now, I chose this story just because tariffs have been such a hot topic for not just the podcast, but everyone in the industry. And, you know, this, let's not call it a conclusion just yet, but a lot more clarity as to what's going on and what could be a lot of trouble because the federal government collected more than $130 billion in tariffs. It's said that they could be on the hook for refunds worth $175 billion. I also chose this story because I was kind of curious. This refund case was actually brought by Atmos Filtration. It's a manufacturer of filters and other filtration products based in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I saw that company, I just thought, like, it makes me think of every small and mid-sized manufacturer that we have that are readers, listeners, viewers, contributors of the IEN and manufacturing.net networks, right? You know, it's everybody that we talk to on a daily basis, and they've all been hit by or touched by this situation in some way. The judge ordered Customs to stop collecting these tariffs that were struck down. On Monday, another federal court rejected the president's attempt to slow this refund process, and now U.S. Customs and Border Protection has got to come up with a way to process these refunds. And Customs routinely refunds tariffs because, you know, mistakes happen. There's some sort of error. But this is not a system that was, quote, designed for mass refund. So, according to trade lawyer Alexis Early, Alexis told the AP, quote, the devil will be in the details of the administrative process. And let's just not go holding our breath on this one. But we've been following this tariff situation for a long time as to whether or not they were constitutional, legal, and, well, now some big decisions have been made. And, I mean, Jeff, when you think of this agency that struggles with, you know, small refunds here and there, all of a sudden having to come up with $175 billion in tariff refunds, I don't know, it seems a little dicey to me.
Well, one of the first things you said is this offered clarity.
Yeah.
Do Do you really feel that? Because if so, that's adorable.
Well, I mean, it's clarity on the current situation as it stands today.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, and it's some clarity because there was the lawsuit to slow down the refunds, and they said no. So, do you think that it's a lack of clarity because you just don't think these refunds are going to be made? No,
I do not.
Oh,
I maybe in 10 years. I mean, I think it's really sweet that you actually think that this is gonna help things move more quickly, more fluidly.
Well,
this is so much money there's not like a ledger. It's not like this went into an account where this was just taken in and diverted wherever. Okay. So should it be this way? Should all of this be returned? Should they even have an interest rate attached to it in terms of what they're owed back? 1,000%. Okay. I agree with that. Do I think this is actually going to happen for everybody? No. I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be realistic. I know you've got some big players here. You've got FedEx. You've got Costco, who have really gotten all over this. It is not going to happen anytime soon. And when it does, it is not going to be a check. It is going to be some sort of tax rebate, something along those lines. Do you know that there are actually brokers out there who are buying up these potential rebates at like 40 cents on the dollar because companies have no confidence in actually getting their refund back?
Wait, so people are selling their refund for 40 cents on the dollar to a broker because they think it's the only way they'll get anything?
Right. Or they'll get it now. They'll get it now.
Yeah, okay.
So, somebody's playing the long game there. Maybe that comes to be, but
I mean, you have that.
I have so little faith in the fact that these refunds will actually take place. I think there's going to be 5 more court rulings determining the legality and the process and how this makes sense and who should be in charge of it. And it's going to be so watered down by the time anything does actually happen that most people are going to either forget about it, give up on it, realize it's not cost effective to do so, or they've just moved on from it that they don't want to go backwards.
I don't know. I don't think you move on from a number like $175 billion. And
David, that's how many different companies.
I understand that.
There's a couple big guys in there, but most of the smaller ones who deserve the money back the most are going to be like, man, I do not have the energy or the resources to go after, even if it's a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
They're like, that is 3 years ago. Yeah. I've moved on. What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. I think that you continue to fight for that. And in terms of anything, at least the clarity is that the tariffs had to stop, right?
But they didn't. Again,
There's
think
no
it's
clarity.
Really great that you feel that this is somehow offered any semblance of a bow.
Yeah.
And I want to join that optimistic perspective. I just cannot.
Okay.
Sorry. That's my curmudgeon. Is that the word you use? Curmudgeon? That's me.
No, that was.
And furthermore, David.
and another lump of coal for you, sir. No. Yeah. Okay. So they haven't stopped collecting any of the tariffs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. So there just were brand new tariffs assigned immediately afterwards.
Okay.
I think Scott Bessent said they were going to start this week. So
okay.
I don't think there was.
Okay.
I don't think there was a break. I don't think there's clarity.
So you don't see this as a win at all?
They're still going to, a win for who? Because I agree with Jeff that it is a hornet's nest and it's going to be a complete disaster trying to figure out how to do this. But secondly, about half or more of companies said that they passed on these costs to their customers. Mm-hmm. And about half of those said they passed on 50% or less of the costs to their customers. 1 in 5 said they passed on all of it.
Yeah, so it's a debt already paid.
By consumers.
Yes, by consumers. That's what I mean.
And consumers, but consumers aren't getting anything back.
Yeah.
And so to me, I get that the manufacturers are owed money here. The importers are owed money. I definitely get that. But it should grind everybody who has bought something and paid this tariff cost at the point of sale that they get nothing from this.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee, to be honest with you, that some of this casual price creep that came along with the tariffs is not going to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not happy to see this really at all because I agree. I just don't think it's It's not transparent. It's going to be very difficult to achieve. It's not like, I don't think it's a win at this point.
Okay. Well, at least we stirred good debate. And we can all agree to disagree, kinda. No,
Jeff and I can agree to agree.
You can agree to agree on it. Yeah, I did not. You know what? I got to tell you what. I did read that, and I was just like, oh, you know what? Finally, some sort of understanding. And it's just, I think it's great. I mean, and that's part of the reason this works is that I can read an article and be like, oh, finally something, huh? And you guys can both read it and be like, this is a tragedy. Like, you know, I think that's why it's good. It's good. I think that's why it works. But I mean, you're right. Like, I mean, so, you know, they're turning the back on free money still. I don't know. Okay. Anyway. Jeff, we already did that. I was gonna bring it back around. I'm just like, no, I'll let it die. This is the hill I've died on. Huh?
We good?
I mean, we're good. We're fine.
Right.
We'll bring it up later.
The voice went up. All right.
Yeah.
We're good.
Sure
We're
did.
good.
It's totally fine.
It's
right.
way up there.
So mine, in case you missed it, was an article off of medical design and development.com. Definitely advocate checking out that site as well. This one was FDA is to offer bonus payments to staffers who complete speedy drug reviews. I mean, what could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong with this article?
This looks like a little more clarity.
Yeah.
For the
All
FDA.
Right. So the head of the FDA plans to start offering bonus payments to agency drug reviewers who complete their work ahead of schedule, the latest in a flurry of changes to longstanding norms and procedures. According to FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, my job as your commissioner is to be your advocate. He was talking to the internal staff at the FDA. Is to be your advocate and to fight for you, McCary told FDA staffers, adding that getting approval for the payments took some wrangling. And if you don't like it, we can get rid of it, but usually everybody loves money, McCary said. This is what you want from an administration involved with ensuring the safety of our food and drugs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand wanting to make these processes more efficient. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Right now, the drug review processes here in the U.S. are pretty much right in line with Europe, with Japan. Now, if you want to get something approved crazy fast and you want to go to Mexico or China, sure.
Yeah.
Just know that people are going to understand that it comes from Mexico or China and maybe doesn't carry the same weight.
You might be getting a counterfeit skinny
Kind
jab.
of what we were just talking
Skinny
about
jab.
there. The fact that this is even being proposed is really just mind-blowing, especially when you go further down into the article and you talk about one of the chief reviewers basically has turned down or basically denied a lot of the drugs that have come through just because they've used science to figure out that, hey, you know what? I don't think these trials are actually enough for us to make this drug go to the market. So Dr. Vinay Prasad, thank you for doing, your job and as the chief scientist at the FDA and vaccine director. He was in one who was basically Moderna had a new flu vaccine that they were trying to push to market. He's like, no, you actually need to do all the trials and we need to see all the data here.
Yeah.
Again, this is like a lot of things that have come out of this administration. You can appreciate the goal, but the tactics are troubling to me, okay? We don't need to incentivize folks to get stuff done quicker when it comes to approving drugs.
Yeah.
Offer bonuses for efficiency. Offer bonuses for, any number of different qualifiers. There's a number of KPIs that you could put on this that are quality and safety focused.
Yeah.
Without making it about specifically just and exclusively about time.
Yeah, like
this worries me.
Like identifying redundancies, waste, and bonusing that maybe, so that way you can find a way to more safely expedite the process. Because I mean, one thing in this article is that employees who are not directly involved in drug reviews, so like factory inspectors, they're not eligible for the payments. And that was like, I mean, talk about somebody that should maybe be eligible, because we already have a lack of these inspectors, getting the qualified ones that we have out doing their job and incentivizing them to do it right. It also talks about the ethical dilemmas, kind of asking FDA reviewers to rush steps, that you need for safety and effectiveness.
And where they're really coming with this, too, is they're trying to put more of the onus on the drug developers to say, get it to us in better shape so that we can do these reviews more quickly. I can appreciate wanting to work with all of those manufacturers, but then at some point, just stop the mirage of the FDA. Why even bother?
Yeah.
Okay, basically make all the manufacturers show us the paperwork that said you did the trials, everything is approved, everything is good, rubber stamp it, and it goes out.
Yeah.
This is just one step away from that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy who doesn't want more government, and even I can look at this and say this is a bad idea.
Well, basically you're just echoing what RFK Jr. said, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., about how the FDA and FDA staffers have basically been a, quote, sock puppet of the industry since becoming the nation's top health official.
Which isn't true.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Because that's why so many of these folks, we also ran an article a couple of weeks ago about all the FDA folks that have left the organization because it's getting more about working too closely with a lot of the food and drug manufacturers as opposed to the science involved with making informed decisions and then sharing that. Maybe that was the CDC. I apologize. I think that was actually the CDC, not the FDA.
Well, I think, Anna, as we've talked about a lot of regulatory stories and many different parts of the industry, I think that one thing we always come back to is this, we do like this idea of self-policing, right? And but how that just fundamentally doesn't work.
I agree. And I think self-policing as a concept, it just enables this erosion of trust in these agencies that are supposed to be neutral, apolitical, like for the good of the, common citizen in our country. It is concerning to me. And, we've seen some of that trust erode over the last few years for whatever reason, for whatever variety of reasons, when it comes to vaccines. There's just a less uptake than there was even 5 years ago pre-pandemic. And we are seeing some consequences of that. What's happening with measles outbreaks in certain areas this year, a little bit scary. Things like that really show the impact of when people don't trust what is coming out of these pharmaceutical plants, or that they've not been tested enough, or if you have concerns about that, then people won't use them.
Yeah.
And so do we want that?
Yeah. Without trust, there is no buy-in.
Right.
Yeah. I think, no, we don't want that. Like, I don't like that
Can't agree with you on that.
The measles circle seems to be getting tighter and closer. At first it's just somewhere in the world, and then it's somewhere in the U.S., and then it's somewhere in the region, and then it's in Madison, and you're like, come on, we already got rid of one. Well, you know what, Jeff, in case you missed the story, that was pretty cute too. I think it's real sweet that you think of that.
Thanks, David.
All right, let's do our final thoughts before we get out of here this week. Anna, what's your final thought?
I didn't really bring anything to the party today, so I'll just say enjoy your fake spring. If you get it, that's what we're dealing with right now. It's supposed to be 70 on Monday, just enough for my kids and dog to be crestfallen when it snows 3 days later.
Or perhaps to, make sure that regardless of how you may feel about shrinkflation, it's always good to go and support your local Girl Scouts in their cookie drives.
That's another final thought that you could have to support your local Girl Scouts.
David's just trying to find stuff we can agree with him on now.
Yeah.
That's not true.
We are with you there. There is no divisive take on Girl Scout cookies.
I don't know if you understand this about podcasting in general, but when it's just three people agreeing the whole time, not really great listening.
Not so great.
Not really great. How do you feel about that? Agreed. And you agreed.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Great point. No, great point.
Yeah. God, I love it that you think the same. My final thought this week was I just wanted we had our entire home painted in a little less than 2 days this week. And while I'm glad that I didn't have to do any of it, it was I just wanted to give thanks to we had a family member with a painting business, and he was able to help us out. And his team was incredibly professional. And I am a painting skeptic. I was just I don't know. I don't see how it really changes the home.
He's a painting skeptic.
But you get the paint on the walls, and you're just all right, I guess it's better.
Not everybody likes painted walls.
No. I just
it's just not for everyone.
tinfoil hat conspiracy about the impact of paint or something?
Actually,
or what?
No, I mean, to that point, like I was shocked that I was expecting more of an odor, but it's been so long since I've had a home or room painted that the technology when it comes to like VOC free paint, gotta say that's pretty incredible. Like I was expecting to come home and either be sleeping with the windows open when it's 28 degrees outside or like in a hotel, and we were able to sleep in the room same day. So the technology in the painting industry has come a long way. And I mean, I've sampled paint from every room, and I've seen no side effects so far in terms of ingesting it. So it's been good. We've come a long way.
Can you smell the recording device?
No, we made sure that he took all those out of the walls. We even got rid of that old legacy doorbell because I know that's nothing but a prop for the government to listen in. But we're going to get those
Finally.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
We didn't move any of our 5 Alexa devices. But yeah, we got rid of everything else. Jeff, your final thought this week.
So I know we've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but is there any like a food that is sort of traditional in your family that outside of your family would be like, that's weird, that's gross, whatever?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I would have to think about that for a second.
What's yours?
Well, that's what I was going to bring up because one of the things I was talking to my mom and I got kind of excited about because she is preparing
Ooh, the pickled heart.
the beef heart
Yeah.
for me, and she's put it in the brine and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to go down there and get my beef heart that I can eat for sandwiches for the next month.
You have sandwiches with it, huh? I will tell you what, like the first time you brought it in the office and handed me a slice of this gray meat and said, just eat it, don't think about it. I was a skeptic, but it's delicious.
Super lean, super tender.
It's very good.
Good stuff.
It's very good. Like, I mean, I will say that I'm sort of the black sheep in the family because we seem to be a pickle product heavy family in terms of like eggs and hocks. And,
so this is not pickled.
No?
It's in like a salt brine.
Oh, okay. How is that different?
Well, some of the season.
It's still cured, right?
It's not.
Or you're talking about like a flavor?
Maybe it's more subtle than what I'm appreciating, but.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's every family has those quirks where you go over and you're like, what's in the crock pot over there? You're just like, yeah, I'm not going to try that. It's gross. Well, no, I can't. Hopefully you bring it in.
Sure.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. If you want to email the podcast, you can reach any of us at Jeff, David, or Anna at IN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. You could also subscribe to our daily newsletters. Make sure you get it delivered to your inbox first. All right. For Jeff Ranke and Anna Wells, I'm David Manti. This is the Today in Manufacturing podcast, and we will see you next week.